all these principles as to how you can really begin your life again, which is the theme of this marvelous book that Joyce Meyer has written. Let's go with a couple of things from the book that were beneficial for me. Your friend and my old boss, John Maxwell, wrote a book a number of years ago, and I've taught it all over the world, called Today Matters. Yeah. And John talked about that the best leaders make good decisions today, and then they manage those decisions well for the rest of their lives. Right. And it's just, it's great classic John thoughts. In your book, you suggest 4 ways to make today, and I love this, how you can make today different from yesterday. Can I walk through a few of these and ask you to comment on them? The first thing is, you said, make up your mind to live differently. And then you have a phrase I think you're known for. You talk about stinking thinking. Yeah, right. and you say the way you think determines the way you live. So we have the Word of God. We talk a lot about the invisible aspects of the Christian walk, but there is a responsibility here with our mind, and you really capture this with this. So make up your mind to live differently. So walk us through that for a moment. How's that happen?
Well, first of all, I think people have to learn and realize that they can do their own thinking. I mean, I guess before that, you need to realize that where a man's mind goes, that where your mind goes, that's where the man goes. I mean, if I think long enough about a hot fudge sundae, I'm likely to eat one before the day is over. And I mean, seriously. So your mind prepares you for action. So I can't think really unlovely, I hate you thoughts about somebody and then ever get around them and hope to treat them right. I'm preparing myself for action by the way that I think. And of course, one of the most major principles in the Word of God is your mind has to be renewed by the Word of God. You learn to think the way God thinks. But then there's always that, well, I can't help how I think. I can't help the way I think. But see, that's totally not true, because God would never tell us to do something that we couldn't do. And He tells us, think like this, don't think like that. So if you make your mind up that you want a different life, you want a better life than what you've got, then you have to start thinking in line with what you say you want, and not think in line with what you've always had.
It's so important, too, because with your mind you make decisions, and the decisions you make really it dictates the rest of your life.
Yeah, and we call that a quality decision. You know, it's easy to make an emotional decision. Yeah. I mean, I can decide on Sunday night when I've just had dinner that I'm going to go on a diet next week and lose 5 pounds, but what happens on Monday when I get hungry around noon? Well, that's when I still have to have that same decision. And you know, there's a great principle in the Word of God. It's in Colossians 3. It says, set your mind and keep it set on things that are above. And so, and that doesn't mean just think about the clouds all the time and angels. It means set your mind for what you believe God's will is and keep it set. Set your mind and keep it set. So you make a decision, but then as you manage that decision, as John says, and you walk that out in your everyday life, so to speak, you know, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when I work out, I'm renewing my decision to work out. Every time I sit down to a meal and I say, well, you know, I really don't need that bread. I'm going to wait till my food gets here so I don't waste all my calories that I can have on the bread. I'm renewing that decision. Every time that somebody hurts me, or let's just say offends me, I'm waiting for a parking place and somebody swoops into it. Well, I mean, I've seen people get into a rage over stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, why should I? You got my parking place. Yeah. You know, what am I going to do? So I can rant and rave and scream and yell, but you know what? I've already decided that I'm not going to live in strife.
Sure.
I've already decided that I'm not going to live offended. And even if you try to offend me, if I take the offense, then it's my problem. I can refuse to take it, but I have to manage that decision every day.
So you make up your mind to be that person of peace.
That's right.